Hey everyone, welcome back to another video tutorial on the Storefront UI Figma file. Today we're going to be looking at the alert component and how to customize it. So we got another simple molecule here. Now we're in the molecules. So here's the components listed out in the sidebar right here. Here's the component document. So you can just take a look at it, play around with it however you want. And you can mess around with the message and what type it is, so secondary, info, success, warning, and danger. And you can customize all the kinds of fonts and the margin between the icon and the message. So let's jump over here. So to customize the font, what you should do is use the element component, select the font, and do any changes you want right here, and they'll reflect throughout all of your alerts throughout your design. So if you were to want to make everything black and, 16-point font, there you go. Now all your alerts are updated. So alert is the first component that we're going to look at that has a spacer used in it. So what a spacer allows us to do is that, well, first let me tell you what a spacer is. Spacers are used throughout designs to kind of bring consistency to the margins and paddings that are used everywhere. And so if we go over here to the layout panel, you can see right here we have about 10 or so different spacers available to us with predefined sizes. So when you're delivering this to a client, you can go in here and change the values of certain spacer variables, and that'll help you quickly retheme your website. So say you want everywhere that has spacer 2x to be 6 pixels instead of 4. So you would update this component right here, and everywhere you use the spacer is going to be updated in your designs. And when you give this to a developer, they can look at this and update their file, their code, and that'll update the real design too, which is kind of handy. And it kind of syncs up the way the design system works with the way the developers work. So you can see right here, if we go into this file, it says layout spacer XS between label and icon. So that XS is an 8 pixel spacer, as you can see right here. And if we want to increase the margin between the icon and the label, we can go in right here and select a different spacer. So I'll take some time at some point to order these nicely so they're easier to read, but basically these are all the spacers that are going to be available to your developer too. So if you say you want to, from now on, instead of using the extra small spacer, you want to use the small spacer. So you can go over here, select that, and quickly, just to make this a little bit nicer to look at, you can go in and turn off the visibility of it. And so now you have 16 pixels of margin between your two components instead of 8. And when you hand this off to a developer, they can just come over here and see, hey, you used a spacer small right here, that's all I gotta do. And really just speeds up and reduces the amount that your developer has to come in and look at the space between two components. And any margin for error is reduced too. So that's the way you want to change the margin between the components. Here, I'm just going to turn this back to extra small. And I'm going to turn off the visibility. So there you go. So that's how to change the margin between the components. So one thing you have to remember is if you want to use this field right here, it's going to add twice the amount you put right here. So it's because it's going to be 8 on both sides of that spacer box. If you just don't want to use that at all, you can just come over here and turn this off, and that spacing will go away. I recommend using the spacer because that just helps with consistency and kind of speeds up your workflow and lets you use auto layout in more places that you wouldn't otherwise. So that wraps it up for the alert component, and next we'll be taking a look at banners.